September 21st, 2020 Planning Board meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Thank you guys for coming. Call for review of the August 17th meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
Yeah.
I'd take a motion if there's no questions.
So moved.
Second.
Moves in second. All those in favor? Thank you very much.
Aye.
New business, a Mountain View subdivision amendment to Lot 6 to increase from 25-unit elderly apartment subdivision in the existing structure located at 50 Mountain Avenue to a 27-unit structure identified on Assessors Map 3, Lot 1-6, Zone Commercial. Discussion and decision. What do I hear for discussion about this item?
Have the representative of the application. Hi, Jim. Oh,
Yeah,
can't hear you.
How's that?
Much better.
Hi there. The applicant has decided to add 2 units to their the existing plan that required 4 more parking spaces on our site plan, and that's the only change that we had with the plan itself. And I'll take any questions whatsoever on that.
Okay.
I didn't see any issues with it,
I don't either. I would,
as long as they added the parking spaces.
Yeah, as long as you meet the parking ordinance, that is fine. No discussion?
for me.
I mean,
notice-
can we talk about the Patriots or something? I mean,
Can I just ask the apartment configuration? I just wanted to verify that I had read it correctly. So on the original submission, you had put on your plan 15 one-bedroom units and 10 two-bedroom units, and now it's going to 15 two-bedroom units and 12 one-bedroom units.
That is correct.
Okay?
Very good.
Yeah.
Meets the parking, meets the ordinance. No discussion, I'd call for a motion.
So moved.
Moved
Second.
and seconded. No discussion. All those in favor? Thanks for coming.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jim.
very much.
All right.
Thanks
So,
for the call.
yeah, you're welcome. You're going to pick that up tomorrow to take it to the registry? Or this week?
I'll get it, if not tomorrow, the day after.
Perfect, I'll have it at the office for you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. So before you leave, don't forget to sign his plan, all the members.
Oh, okay.
And date, today's date
Very
on
good.
it.
I owned that for 15 minutes once, that building.
I saw your name on the deed.
When we sold it to the Fairfield Economic Development Group, it was they thought they could do something with it, Fairfield Economics, and they were going to do offices and lease space, but it never really, they owned it for a while and never really put it together.
Sounds like these guys are going.
What's that?
Sounds like these guys are going. Right?
Good, hey, there's tax advantages for doing
Absolutely.
the elderly housing, and we need it.
Yeah.
Item B on the agenda, Highland Acres subdivision amendment to Lot 7 to split the lot in two and create Lot 7A, 3.8 acres, and Lot 7B, 3.3 acres, identified on Assessors Map 38, Lot 7, zoned residential. Discussion and decision.
So the developer, Sid Gilman, the owner of Lot 7, the owner of record, he turned in, you could see it's pretty straightforward. Highland Acres subdivision was one large 7.1.
Is that under Ridge Road?
No, it's not the end. It's off Ridge Road, off Joy Road, Howe Road.
Oh, Howe Road.
Yeah, so Lot 7, which is a big vacant lot, and what they're doing is, and there's, for the residential land use district, it meets plenty of road frontage, width, setback, and there's just drew a line in the middle of it. They want to split it into 2 lots. Howe Road, existing public road, no changes to the road, just taking Lot 7, splitting it in 2.
Okay, meets the ordinance for frontage and...
It
and
does,
square footage.
yes, for the residential land use district that he's in.
Did he provide soils analysis?
And he did. It's attached to the application that I have in front of you. It should be the last page.
Yep. Yeah. That's all old.
Test pit 1, test pit 2, TP1, TP2.
Okay.
It was done on, looks like Al Hodston did it on September 3rd. And the test pit analysis is below on both those, TP1, TP2.
So 20 inches of sandy loam, okay?
Yep.
Any questions or comments about this minor lot subdivision?
Forward, isn't it?
Hearing none, it's very straightforward. I take a motion.
Motion to accept.
Have a motion?
Second.
The second, any discussion? Hearing none, I'd call for a vote. All those in favor, thank you. Item 5 on our agenda tonight, unfinished business, none. Item 6, any items by public, clerk, or members?
I have a question. I just heard, maybe this has nothing to do with anything, but I just heard that soldiers lost out, whoever they selling the milk to, pulled out, because they don't buy the milk anymore, because they got, whatever they spent on the field across my house, got into their milk, and that contaminated the milk. Now, I'm hearing that all the neighbors on my road are having their water tested, because I think Danny Dow tried to sell his land, had his water tested on a vacant lot, and it failed
Really? I have not heard.
because of the, across the road.
They have those PBBs, that was,
So I didn't know if
It has not been confirmed, and it hasn't been documented, but
it had.
the milk testing going to flood from Tosha failed. That truck was dumped. They went through a 2-week process of drying out their cows and dumping their milk. They quarantined them in a building. They're now out in their pasture land, and I haven't heard the final whether those animals will have to be disposed of yet
That's
or
from
not.
flood?
No, this is Tosha.
From Tosha, okay.
Yeah, but Tosha was selling their milk through flood.
Oh, they were? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't
So
know
that's
that.
how it tested. I haven't heard the exact contamination or to the extent.
I know Dawn and Debbie Green are having their water tested this week, but nobody's come and asked us about our well yet. But I had mine tested 2 years ago, so.
Right. It may be wise to find out, and I haven't heard this, what you're testing for, because it may affect what you tell Northeast Labs to look for. If you tell them to look for the normal nitrates and
Oh.
nitrites, which is,
Yeah.
bacteria manure, getting into wells in farm country, that's normal, but not acceptable. But I think they're looking for trace elements of Teflon or some damn thing, and I haven't heard that specifically.
Okay, I just heard about it
But I would
this past weekend.
I would quiz your neighbors, what are you testing for, what's the problem, what's the issue? The state also has to be involved at this point, so feel free to call Department of Agriculture or whoever, and who's conducting this survey, who's in charge, and absolutely follow up. Because scares run rampant about water quality in Fairfield Center at times,
Yeah.
okay? And the Morning Sentinel refused to put my editorial in about the 1995 fly ash pit contamination that never showed up in 25 years of testing. It was monthly testing, then quarterly testing, then semi-annual for the last 10 years. There was 27 wells they were pulling water from, including the neighbors, Dick Mosier, and someone else. Never found any real contamination. Big cancer cluster, water scare, be careful, God, don't even drive through Fairfield Center. We heard all this from the Morning Sentinel. I
Yeah.
asked them if they had invented fake news, because back then we hadn't heard of this. They refused to run that editorial because they got a national award for the reporting of this cancer cluster, and they got a plaque. And in my,
Joe Marchetti was involved with that
Yeah.
too, right?
and in my editorial, I asked them if they were going to have to give the plaque back because there was no contamination. None of the water
no
ever found.
sarcasm there.
No, I was trying to be, hey, you didn't earn that plaque, send it back, okay? No, we didn't really want to talk about fake news and turning the plaque back, and Kevin Biles and not. So follow up, because yes, water quality is everything
Well, I am
today.
concerned.
And keep in mind that when you're talking to people, the feds change the standards all the time. The allowable, acceptable level of arsenic in your water, it was like 20 parts per billion. about 15, 20 years ago, they said, oh geez, that's terrible, it should be 5 parts per billion. Then they decided, no, it should be 4.5. So it's a moving target with the feds.
Yeah.
And they're trying to guess on how much arsenic will actually kill you, which is a commonly occurring in ledge, okay? But test for it.
Yeah.
But PCBs and lead and mercury and heavy metals is what they really look for mostly. But good, thank you for bringing that up, because that has been flying around for about a month now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just heard about it, 'cause Debbie Green told us.
Yeah, but nothing's been in the paper, where's the Sentinel when you need them? There's no, good information out there, just rumors. But absolutely follow up, it's real important to know that. We'll look for a follow-up next meeting from you on your report.
Yeah, I thought maybe Nicole heard something.
No one's reported anything to me as a code officer or as a local health
And
inspector.
think about it, Department of Human Services, who I'm sure is on top of this, should have called you 3 weeks ago.
They've got to be on it if it's out there. So
Absolutely.
they'll be asking questions.
Okay, this should not be rumor mill, this should be
Yeah.
information going to
Well,
local.
somebody came to them and asked them, told them they should have the water tested. I don't know who did it.
But for what?
Don't know yet.
Okay.
You don't
Find
know
out.
who that person was that went to that?
I don't know.
No?
The for what
find out.
is the big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, because again, bacteria, nitrates, nitrites, all of that, normal. They look for that every
Yeah.
test. There's something else you need to look for. I don't know if it's arsenic or heavy metals or, someone said Teflon.
I don't know.
But it's related to the milk test, right, that failed.
Yeah.
But didn't they dump sludge up there for years?
Well, they spread a bunch of it.
The sludge was, and recently in the news, Farmington had a little flare-up where a guy had to shoot his cows because they were testing with this stuff from the sludge.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
coming right out of sanitary treatment, right to Hawk Ridge, mix it with a little of bark mulch or something, whatever, boom, we're selling it. So, it's manufactured
Yeah.
human waste. Ouch. I can't say that politely.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I use my alpaca poop. That's really good.
Keep in mind, when they started spreading sludge in Fairfield Center 35, 40 years ago, it was perfectly legal for Stanley's to dump raw sewage on farmlands.
Jesus.
And he was.
Oh, human?
Yes.
Really?
It was okay to dump pump septics in gravelly areas, acceptable. When they started spreading sludge, they stopped him.
Why?
We're not sure.
That's pretty nasty. And
Yeah,
That's shitty to me.
yeah, that's nasty stuff.
They must have been adding something to it.
I didn't. Who knows? Rhyme or reason? Who can figure that out? You know, stranger things. DEP, their regs change regularly. Their requirements for closures, their requirements for dumping, their requirements for, now they're at rubber liners now if you're doing closures and dumps. Anything else from the public members?
All quiet?
Yep, I do, as the planning board clerk, have one item that is coming forward. Maine DEP today just submitted a request for comment. So what they're going to do is from Clinton to Fairfield, they're going to bore underneath the Kennebec River and bring a natural gas line under the river over to Route 201. So I'm not quite sure where this is going. They're just showing us at this point the boring area in the river and that it's coming out on 201 with no additional information. So, don't know.
Do you know where it is location-wise?
It's coming directly across flood farmland.
Yep.
And it's going directly under the river and coming out on 201.
Above the dam or below? Above.
Above the dam.
Floods above.
Right. So, where the solar field is going behind Derigo Engineering, it's coming across the street from that.
Oh, wow.
Almost directly across the
Okay.
street.
Now, is this an exposed line?
No, it's buried.
Buried, okay.
Yeah, it's bored under the river.
Yep.
And it will remain buried across that land. They have a 10-foot easement across a property owner's land to bring it across. I'm not certain what direction it goes into after that. This is DEP because they're affecting the river. Nothing else has been submitted beyond the drawings of the immediate area of the river.
Gotcha.
So do you have any comments that you want me to put to the DEP? Do you want me to ask for additional information, or are you okay with their engineered drawings that they've submitted on?
Just have one question, one comment. When they're boring under the river above the Shawmut Dam, I'd like to let us know if they saw any brown trout, because we
Yeah.
haven't for quite a while.
Okay. I will put that on the comment sheet.
Thank you, I was just very concerned.
Anyone else? No? Okay. So I'll just submit.
How deep do they normally go when they go into the river?
I think they try to get 4 to 6 feet of cover.
Is
I
it?
think it's 15 feet.
They are 15
is
feet?
according to their plans. I don't know if I'm reading it correctly. So right there shows 15 feet.
Oh, yeah.
15 feet minimum underground. Underground.
Minimum. They may have to go deeper if they hit ledge.
That's what I was thinking.
That's a liner, that's a lined pipe. anyway.
Correct. Thank you.
The cost of horizontal boring has gone down so much in the past 10 years.
Oh, has it?
That it's feasible to cross under railroad tracks now, ledge. When
Right.
they bored the gas line going up Middle Road, they bored at Craig and Brook to get under that ledge. And it was real hard. Anyway, that's
They do
nothing
it.
anymore.
New
How long
technology.
would it take them
Yeah.
to go under the river like that? I mean, as far as the
Depends what
boring?
they hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they may have to move, like, I believe up in Skowhegan, they had to move up and down until they found a spot where they weren't hitting ledge.
Wow.
I don't know. It could be quick if they hit the
Yeah.
right spot. And they do, I believe, also have to go under the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that runs along the river.
They can't do boring, so there's no sonar or radar, so they have to look for the ledge. In other words, if it was out in the field, they do borings,
Yeah.
they'd find refusal and they'd know. They don't really do that underwater.
Right. They just go until they hit it, and then
Sounds
they
pricey on it.
pick another spot.
Yep.
This doesn't tie to our gas company, does it?
It doesn't give any additional information, so I could ask that, if you would like. to
Just
ask.
curious if it's
If it's
separate,
interconnecting.
if it's a separate new company, and/or if it ties to...
No, it's Summit.
This
it
is
is
Summit.
Summit.
It's the same company.
Is it open anybody in Fairfield? Like
I don't know.
Covell Road?
Any place they have a gas main on 201, for example, and they get across there with a substantial line,
Yeah.
huge draw to manufacturing. You'll get,
Yep.
some interest in manufacturing. Because there's a sewer line there, there's water lines there, and now there's gas.
Gas line.
That's huge for me.
Okay.
So it's encouraging that
But not all gas lines could be tapped into, right? Like the one
correct.
on
It's-
Middle Road, nobody can tap
No one
into
can
that?
tap, no. Well, if you pay for the valve, you can. Okay, and the tap valve to go from high pressure to low pressure is in the area of $130,000.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So you'd have to have a substantial manufacturer.
Right. So where they down pressured for Kai's,
Right.
then they fed up Main Street low pressure.
Right.
So that's why Butcher's Choice, Sonny's Pizza, Town Office, Library could tap on because the valve was bought by Chinette.
Okay.
It's a lot of potential flammable crap underground there. Yeah.
Low pressure is really safe, relatively. If you let it build up, it'll...
I don't like gas.
If you get a gas leak, they tell the earthworkers, do not, if you're digging and you hit the gas line and gas is spraying up, back away, leave, don't smoke butts, don't cover it, because that gas will go underground, come up in basements,
Yeah.
and blow up a whole block. Let it just run in the air.
I.e. Farmington.
Yeah, Farmington, that poor
That's
people.
what made me think of it, and you...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all I had.
Anything else from anybody? That got us all the gossip and all the news, and we're done? Wow. This is some kind of...
Serious, really.
Huh?
We're breaking records.
I know. All those call for adjournment?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Thank you very much.